the satisfaction, I believe, of storytelling is not in knowing where the story is going to end. The satisfaction is knowing how is finding out how you end up getting there.
Yes, exactly. Well
I don't
said.
I don't care about spoilers. You can spoil any story for me that you want, like how anything ends. I really don't care because that's not what's interesting. I firmly believe that the Sixth Sense is, if you cut out the last like 10 minutes of that movie, it is a very unremarkable ghost story. It is only interesting when you add in the last 10 minutes, and then you kind of want to rewatch the whole thing. Why do you want to rewatch the whole thing? Because you just spent, whatever, an hour and 50 minutes watching an unremarkable movie, and then 10 minutes suddenly realizing you were watching a really great movie, and you want to rewatch the great movie.
Hmm.
If you knew at the outset the twist at the end, you could spend 2 hours watching a great movie and
Hmm.
not an hour and 50 minutes watching a mediocre movie.
Interesting. That's an interesting take.
Because then you're asking the whole time, like, how does he find out? Like, how does he deal with oh my God, he doesn't realize in this moment that the scenes have so much more tension and interest when you know the twist at the end the twist at the end of the movie. I just think twists are kind of silly in that regard. Like, I just like, I don't know. I think they're overrated.
Did you? I don't imagine you've seen the second season of my show, Me, Myself, and Die.
I confess I have not.
That's okay. That's okay. There was everyone who is the Patreons who are watching this right now know that there is a big twist that happens at the end. Totally, I'm creating this randomly as we go, but
Right.
there was a twist of like Sixth Sense proportions. There was a twist that happened right at the end where I remember when it happened, I was like, oh my God. And I went with it and I resolved it and I finished it. But as I was editing it, I remember thinking to myself, is this going to work? Are people going to buy this? Are they going to accept that this is actually a thing that happened? Because it's such a fucking twist. It's such a whoop. And it all makes sense. It all makes sense within the context of the world and the story so far. But I was terrified. I was terrified that it was going to come across as inauthentic, even though
Right.
it was as authentic as possible because it was legitimate, random at the table that tied into everything that came before. But twists, yeah. Again, it all comes back to honesty. An honest death is a good death. An honest twist is a good twist. Anything that organically rises out of this situation, and coming back to DMing, especially with sort of sandbox stuff. If a player is in a world like yours, like we had with you, where we know that you've described a certain area in the mountains, let's say, and we go to the mountains and it is, pretty much what we have come to expect it to be, but there is a little twist in there. That's honestly come by. And so that's a great experience. If, we went to the mountains and it turns out it was, I don't know, the land of the fairy people or something, and there was no good reason for that, that would feel like a betrayal. That would feel like this GM
Right.
doesn't know what he's doing. He's just
Right.
making shit up as he goes. But I think the anything honestly come by as a DM. So when you're creating a world, and I think this is what we talk about when we talk about consistency. You want internal consistency in your world. It doesn't matter what the rules of the universe are. What matters is those rules are always followed consistently. You know,
Yeah.
if a wizard can, the funny joke in D&D is I'm a 10th level fighter, so I can jump off a 50-foot cliff and be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Well, that's moronic in our
Yeah.
world, but in the world of D&D, okay, that's consistent at least. So I guess it's fine.
I once had a character jump off a 50-foot bridge because the enemy they were fighting on top of the bridge was just too much for them, and he was like, "I would rather jump off and see what happens." So I was like, "All right, 5d6 damage, all ones." I was like, "You feel fine."
Yeah. Somehow there was water at the bottom.
Yeah, it's like, God damn it.
There was a cart of pillows at the bottom.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, a level 1 fighter could have survived the jump that you just now. Somehow, fucking just 50 feet, no big deal.
That's hilarious.